Welcome back to Core Motivations Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Connolly. I'm a certified Enneagram coach and a Symbis marriage coach. And if this is your first time here, I want to give you a special welcome. You have stumbled upon an incredible community. I love this community. And for those returning, thanks again for not only committing to yourself, but committing to growth through this podcast and the information shared. Since we started coming together to learn all things self care through the Enneagram, we sure have navigated a lot of layers of why we do what we do as we look at ourselves through this new lens, the Enneagram lens. So, this week, I want to spend some time with you in a different way. I wanted to share a bit more about my story and what transitions that are happening in my life. I'm not sure that this will necessarily be chronological, but it is in essence my journey through this thing, we call life. So grab a cup of coffee, tea, or whatever you like, and settle into your comfy, cozy spot. And if you're driving, please stay safe. And I also hope you enjoy our time together. And of course, I'm going to start with a typical I was born. So, I was born into a Jewish family, and everyone lived close. Okay, well, most everyone. And I'm the second child of four, but I'm the first girl of a four-kid family in Cali. And no, not Southern California. It's the one that I think is much better. And it's about 30-ish miles from San Francisco. Francisco. That's a nice name. I couldn't say what my earliest memories are, but I've heard some pretty great stories. Like the one my dad told me. He was with my mom and I believe my brother. I can't remember that part of the story. Sorry. And of course, me. We were at a very important business meeting having dinner with my dad's boss or soon to be boss. Maybe it was an interview. That detail I can't remember of the story. But as we sat there and they talked about all sorts of adult things, of which I don't understand because basically I was like 2 years old. They brought food and I was given spaghetti. Really? Spaghetti to a 2-year-old in a restaurant? What were they thinking? I really don't know what they were thinking, giving a toddler spaghetti at a restaurant with people they were trying to make an impression on. Anywho, adults, what can I say? When all of a sudden, of course, I'm sure it seemed that way to them, I take a handful of spaghetti. Remember, I'm like 2. Right at that point, because, well, remember, they gave it to me and I threw it behind me up against this glass shield. My dad was so embarrassed, as was my mom, I'm sure. And yet, the people that they were dining with were gracious and laughed, as well as the workers at the restaurant, saying things like, "It's okay, no problem. It happens all the time." I think my dad got the job or kept it. Either way, I was the life of the party. One of my favorite stories my dad told me was when I was little, we had a kitty. And while I believe I wasn't quite talking much, I mean, my vocab was limited, I could say kitty, which I believe one of the most important words a kid can say. I mean, am I right? Of course I'm right. So we were all in bed and everyone was trying to sleep. And the kitty came into my room. And so every so often I would say, "Kitty, My dad would say, "Yes, Michelle, you have a kitty." Or, "That's the kitty. Now go to sleep." A few minutes later, "Kitty, kitty." My dad would respond with, "Yes, Michelle, you have a kitty. Go to sleep now." After several more times of this, he got up, went into my room to discover that our cat was having kittens. And every time a new kitten was born, I would say, "Kitty, kitty." Now, I'm sure there are many more stories like that in my early years, but the one that I can actually remember was one morning it was snowing. Now, in most places, this would not be such a phenomenon, but in our little town, it was. Well, even in our part of the state. This was rare, in fact, thank you, Google AI. So if it's right, then we can thank Google for that. So on the eve of February 5th, 1976, snow fell. This was such a rare thing to happen on record because prior to that, it was sometime in the early 60s. I was not alive then, but record shows that that's when it happened. So my mom came in and got all of us up to go see the snow. Pretty funny because it really just looked like someone has lightly sprinkled powdered sugar on the ground. But we were so excited, trying to make snow angels and make snowballs. If you can imagine, there just wasn't any kind of accumulation to do either of those. But it was a good memory and a good experience. However, when I was older, we did experience snow, Michigan winter at that. And let me tell you, they have real snow. So, being born in California, I don't necessarily claim that as home. I think I would say Washington is more home for me. We moved there when I was around 12 ish or something like that. And we moved near Seattle. And while I did live in California a few more times, I always found myself back in the beautiful state of Washington. I have big memories there. Washington is where I became a teenager, had my first real boyfriend, did some college education. In fact, I got my associate's degree and even met some lifetime friends and so much more. Another thing that I remember as a kid when we were living in Seattle was this spy game that my friends and I believe my sisters played too. We would go to McDonald's and get fries because that's what you do in the 80s when you have a little bit of money, proudly, permanently borrowing from our parents. After McDonald's, we would then go to the candy store, which conveniently was next door, and get Jelly Bellies. No, not jelly beans. You do know they are super different, right? Just saying. So we would pretend it gave us special powers, like we could see through buildings and behind rocks or through and around trees. And the really cool part was that it made us run really fast because some other spies were chasing us, of course. And because of our special jelly bellies, we always managed to get away. Imagination at its best, right? So, fast forward, I went to school and got licensed to do nails, and that was a journey in and of itself. Perhaps that's for another time. Eventually, I got married and got divorced, as it was not the best marriage. We'll leave it there. But I got the best surprise from that. Had a baby girl. She was a gift and so precious in every way, and she truly was and is a miracle. And so from that point on, I felt like I was in a storm that didn't settle due to life circumstances. But my beautiful baby girl and I found our way and did the best we could. We read books together, played together, hugged like nobody's business. She was the shining star in my life. She made everything brighter in every way. I went for more college and graduated with my bachelor's degree. I'm sure I'm not really using that degree fully today, but I'm sure it helps. Eventually, that baby girl of mine got older, and when she was 8, I met and married the man who would change that storm into calmer waters. No, it wasn't perfect. There were still bumps along the way, but he gave me hope. I eventually settled on starting my own traveling in home nail business for seniors and homebound. So, what I did was I traveled to people's homes and provided nail care for them. This was both rewarding and challenging. You see, because many of my clients, they were around the 70 plus age range, and many of them had health concerns, and some I knew for a short time and some a little longer. After I was deep into that, and for the lack of a better way to describe it, I was called into pastoral ministry and started my journey as a pastor. So, for the next 10 or so years, I went to school while pastoring with kids and their families. Man, this was a cool time, but also challenging. To say that my family came out unscathed would not be the truth. But I got to not only impact students and their families, but they impact me. They, in fact, changed us, my family, that is for good, probably forever. So my little girl grew and graduated from high school and took a detour in the Army. That was another one of those experiences where you have to hang on because the ride is pretty twisty. But she eventually found her path and went to tattoo school and is perfecting her craft. Both her dad and I are walking billboards for her. No regrets about that. They're beautiful pieces of original art, and it's special times that we got to spend one on one. Me specifically, with my girl. She does such a great job and amazing work. And no, I'm not just saying that because she's my daughter. Okay, maybe a little, but truly, go see for yourself. Chai_inks. You can find her on Instagram. So, living in Oregon, things are different. So let's see. Born in Cali, raised in Washington, and now the sisters, that's my sisters, hope it's okay to reveal this, we all live in Oregon. No cities, please. Living here is not bad, it's just different. I've now been married for about 16 years, and we're doing pretty good. Our daughter is adulting pretty well, figuring it all out, just as I did. Although, I hope it doesn't take her as long as it has me to figure out how important it is to take care of myself. Finding self care practices that cultivate strength and positivity and peace and even joy and all the things that follows, that it really is a must. So, why this format today? I thought it important to talk about my self care journey. I have not been very good at it. You see, being an Enneagram 2, I'm all about taking care of others at my own expense and then developing resentment because I didn't get it back or I wasn't acknowledged for the nice things or thing I just did. It can feel very lonely and isolating, maybe even a little debilitating. I even confess it's difficult to be by myself. You see, because I'm a collaborator at best. I love strategizing, finding solutions, problem solving, and helping to carry it out. That's where I thrive. But the truth is, it takes its toll. It can be a silent killer. So I knew something had to change. It needed to. I'm finding that if I don't do the things that bring me life, create peace and joy, and even fill my cup, no one's going to do it for me. I mean, if I'm waiting for other people, I could be waiting forever. And of course, nothing against the people in my life, but they can't fulfill my every whim or need at the same time as taking care of themselves. There's only so much that we can do in a day. There are certain things that we have to do for ourselves. What are things that you ask of your circle that might be something you can or should do for yourself? Maybe take a pause and think about that. What are things that you are asking of your circle, your family, your friends, that might be something that you should pause and do for yourself? We all might find we have something that can be done by ourselves, for ourselves, and maybe even better. I would rather take off my own Band-Aid than someone else. See, because I know the right pressure. I know I'm not going to be surprised when it happens. You know what I mean? So a few years back, I got back into counseling, as well as I started working with a coach, and then COVID. So as we all know, life as we were all comfortable with shifted so much for so many. So sadly, coaching became something that, while it was good and helped me start working on tasks and goals and preparing me for what that looked like, it had to be paused. And counseling was about survival. It was about taking myself and self care seriously. And I was grateful for it. I needed courage to find my voice and use it. I often, although I'm comfortable with saying, I'm not doing this so much anymore, which is a good thing. But I would make myself small so others shined. I would remove my place setting so someone else I deemed more important could have a spot. And so many more self deprecating things, words, thoughts, you name it. No one is paying me to say this, but I personally believe people need therapy and a coach at the same time. In fact, they do very different things. Therapy is about working on the past, where coaching is about working on a specific goal, something that is currently happening, all the while seeking strategies that are measurable and have steps to help you get there, with a person that will help you establish accountability. Like me, I could help you with coaching. Now, of course, a therapist can help do some of these things, but it's not as specific. Well, the truth is, it's just different. So, why all of that? Why today? Well, I love podcasting. I love getting to share new things, share my discoveries, and provide perhaps not new, but different perspectives of things discovered and learned that I've discovered and learned. I look forward to getting to continue doing this, and even more so to having live Enneagram typing sessions as well as other guests. I'm excited about that. The future of podcasting on Core Motivations Podcast, it's just getting started. I wanted to share some life changes, and with that, it might mean some lighter episodes. But nonetheless, and rest assured, you are very important to me. This work is vital and it's necessary to help us all. So, what's this life change already? Gosh, Michelle, would you just share it? Get to it already. Okay. So, as some of you might know, I'm a remote worker. I am a coach and now a podcaster. and I can essentially work from home wherever home is. My husband, who got a promotion with work, woohoo! Congratulations, honey. He has worked so hard, and I'm so proud of him and super excited for what this means. The interesting part of this is that for the past, well, close to 20 years, he has remote worked, not hybrid, but actually true, authentic work from home. And now he will take the leap of faith and join the in office crew and all the perks of that. So he's giving up a, a 5-minute commute, passing the coffee maker, where it's probably going to take much longer than that to get from our house to his current place of work. And he'll actually have to wear shoes. You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? Gross. The company he works for just moved their headquarters, or HQ, to Arizona. Yep, you guessed it. We're moving. So my husband, hey Phil, has made several trips to Arizona to work in the office, and the last one included a 2-day house hunting craziness, where he added that to his full-time job. Wow, he sure impresses me. I tell you though, it's very different searching for a house while being on a video. Well, he drove to each house with our awesome realtor, shout out, Stacy. Actually, her name is Stacy. My sister's name is Stacy. Anyhow, and they looked at each one. I found it challenging, though, to grasp the essence of each home. But he did a really great job and answered all my questions. Although, and we talked about it, I think he needs a little videography class and help with that. But he wasn't too bad. I was only a little motion sick. I can't really say that the search is over yet and say that we found, the one. I can't quite exclaim the future spot for our family or the new recording spot for Core Motivations podcast, but stay tuned. I hope that you will continue this crazy, fun, and exciting journey as we continue to do all things self-care and self-love through the Enneagram, all while we change zip codes. I wanted to let you all in on our journey for several reasons. First, you will be looped in on the what's happening behind the scenes as we find a house, buy a house, pack, hire movers, and make the journey with 3 cats and a dog through several states, mountains, hot weather, and oh man, I'm exhausted now. Second, if you're a praying person, I would ask that you would join in on that with us. And third, that you would continue the practices regardless of the length of the episodes, because I can't imagine not leaving something for us all to do, to listen to, or to practice. And fourth, because truth is, new things can be hard, and it takes a village to navigate. And I'm hoping my new village, all of you, will come along in this new chapter for us. Be standing by. Look for new updates of the process of the big move from Oregon. Oh yeah, that's where we are now. As we travel to Arizona. I think they should call it the hot state. Although I just found out it's referred to as the Grand Canyon state, or the Sweetheart state, or even the Copper state. I don't have any kind of clue why. I'll have to do some more research and get back to you on that. But I like the name hot state, I'm melting. You didn't think I forgot self-care practices, did you? Of course not. So grab a piece of paper, or if you're new school, grab your phone, tablet, or the like, and write, type, text, or slide, whatever works for you. We're going to do something called 5 Good. It could be more if you're on a roll, Well, wait, what is 5 good? Well, it's not so much like a gratitude list as it can really just be 5 good things that you have experienced. But as you're doing this, remember that these things are things that happened today, not yesterday or a week ago, today. Your 5 good are those things that are good, that blessed you and brought you joy. So I'll go first. I have 5. First, I got to talk with all of you and share time together. I know, it's a little sappy. Second, morning coffee talk with God. Third, playing with my doggy and cuddles with the kitties. Fourth, I packed another box. And fifth, chatting on the phone with my guy. Yes, I'm talking about you, Phil. So your turn. Write down your 5 good. Try it for 5 days. See what happens. I have to say, though, that when I started this, it seemed silly, and I struggled to find good. Wow, right? Really, it's true. As I continued to push through, I started to work through that part. And what I began noticing and eventually found, I was looking forward to processing my day and taking note of all the things that were good, as opposed to thinking and focusing on the negatives of the day. Yes, those things happen too, but what a great way to end the day. Instead of ending with sadness and sorrow because you looked for it and experienced it, you end with joy. So give it a go. Let me know how it works. How is it working for you? I would love to hear that. DM me. Tell me about these things. I love hearing from you. Okay, my favorite, and I know it's yours too, the legal stuff. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. This podcast is not a substitute for medical care. The materials, movies, videos, or books referred to in this podcast are recommendations only. The views expressed by our guests are their own and not necessarily reflect the views of the podcast host, that's me, or sponsors. Join me each week as we dive into all things Enneagram, self-care ideas, self-love patterns and rhythms, share ideas from other reputable authors, doctors, and my favorite podcasters. A big thank you to you for being here with me today on Core Motivations Podcast. Now, I know you've heard me say this many times before, but truly, thanks for supporting our podcast, as it just couldn't be done without all of you. So, hit the follow button, share this episode with somebody, and please, please leave a review. You can find me, Michelle, on Instagram at coremotivations_coach or through email, Michelle at coremotivationscoach.com. So let me leave you with this. Until next time. And as always, I'm rooting for you.